Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Lazy Couch Thoughts. Today we're going to be talking about the New Orleans Saints going to Tampa and beating the brakes off of the Buccaneers. Who dat nation? Stand up, baby. It's our division again. We about to win the NFC South for the 4th consecutive year. No team has ever done that before. Nobody has ever won the NFC South in 4 consecutive years, and the Saints are about to become the first team to do it. After the last 3 years of the Saints just falling just short in the playoffs, between the Minnesota Miracle and the no call, and then losing to Minnesota in the wild card round last season, the media's been disrespecting the Saints a lot. And Tom Brady goes to Tampa and he brings Gronk out of retirement, and they just signed Antonio Brown and they're building this super team. Well, guess what? The Saints are still the best team in the NFC. They're still one of the best teams in football, and they are not afraid of your 2014 Pro Bowl team whatsoever, because it is not 2016 anymore. Gronk's not Gronk. Antonio Brown hasn't played football in a year and a half. Tom Brady is not looking good. If you watch that game, Tom Brady was crumbling under the pressure. He was seeing ghost on night. He threw 3 interceptions. He was hit 9 times. He was sacked 3 times. Tampa didn't even get 200 yards of offense. We're supposed to be scared of this team, the team that we just swept. The Saints are now 2-0 against the Bucs this season, and this is actually the first time in Tom Brady's career that he was swept in a division series, meaning he lost both regular season games to a team in his division. Welcome to real divisions, Tom, where you don't get to play the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets every year. It's a lot different having to face Matt Ryan and Drew Brees, and back a few years ago, Cam Newton when he was an MVP. It's a lot different than facing the Jets and the Dolphins and the Bills. The Bills were never good until just now. The Jets had a couple, maybe 1 or 2 seasons of Rex Ryan, and the Dolphins aren't getting good again until like now. So for the last 2 decades, he hasn't had any competition, and now he has competition, and we see what's happening, and they have 3 losses already, 2 of which to the Saints, who, how are you going to be a Super Bowl contender? How can you be a Super Bowl favorite if you can't beat a team in your division, and especially if you lose to them twice? You can't. You're not winning the Super Bowl like that. His offensive line is not good enough to win the Super Bowl, and they will never beat the Saints until they can figure out a way to protect Tom Brady. Guys, in case I'm not being clear enough, let me be even more clear. Tom Brady was the 4th worst quarterback in that game. Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, and Drew Brees all had higher QBRs than Tom Brady last night. Tom Brady's QBR was a 3.8. The other 3 quarterbacks were hovering around 100. Like, Tom, that was the worst game I've ever seen Tom play. And he was frustrated all night. He was mad. He was yelling at his receivers. He was straight-faced. Like, Drew Brees went, like, talked to him after the game, was smiling, like, saying, like, good game, whatever. Tom's just like, and Drew's like, bro, I mean, you don't bother me. You're supposed to be the GOAT. You can't come to my division and beat me, though. How are you going to be the GOAT whenever you can't leave New England and beat some real teams? How can you be the GOAT if you don't hold any statistical passing records? Oh, because you won 6 Super Bowls? No, that doesn't fly. You winning 6 Super Bowls in New England does not help you beat the Saints, because you're not better than Drew. You never have been. You never will be. And I'm glad people are seeing it. Drew Brees is 5-2 all time against Tom Brady, but those don't count. It's only the Super Bowl wins, right? Whenever he had some of the best defense of all time, while Drew Brees was struggling at 7-9 every year, while they're breaking every single offensive record, while also setting new records for the worst defense in the league. If you put Drew Brees on those New England teams, guys, Drew Brees is what everyone thinks Tom Brady is. Everybody thinks Tom Brady's this GOAT, this awesome player. That's Drew. And it's showing, because Drew has always been better, and all we've been hearing is how Drew's washed, Drew has no arm, and what happened? Because the person who really didn't have an arm last night was Tom. Except maybe he did. Maybe his arm looked fine. It didn't see him complete many passes. Anyways, now that I'm done dogging out the Bucs, because I was quiet because I was waiting for us to come out here and destroy them again, just like we did in week 1, and prove all of the media wrong, who has been hyping them up and hyping them up. And if you watched the game, you could tell Sean Payton and Drew Brees were on one, that they felt disrespected and they were coming in on a mission, because that was the best game I've seen Sean Payton call in a long time, and that is the sharpest I've seen Drew Brees look in a very, very long time. And you could see it in their face. It was a mission. Every single touchdown, I was like, let's get another one, another one, another one. And if Jared Cook doesn't fumble the ball, Jared Cook catches that pass, and Jared Cook doesn't miss a blocking assignment, that game's probably 50-0. because he fumbled at the 1 yard line. He dropped the pass where we had to kick a field goal instead of going to score a touchdown. And then we were driving, and then he just refused to block defensive end, and Drew Brees fumbled on like a weird little, like somebody hits his arm as he's running. But yeah, like that game was not even as close as the score indicates, and it was 38-3, and you still look at it like, yeah, the game was even worse than that. Like, that's crazy. And Drew Brees threw for 4 touchdowns and 200-something yards, and Tom threw for no touchdowns and 3 interceptions. It's just, it was bad. And probably the most important person from that game last night was the Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill. Taysom was, he was remarkable last night. It was very impressive. He was completing passes, he was running the ball, he was catching the ball. It was vintage Taysom Hill, and like that's probably the first like real Taysom game we've had this season. And I think we're best when we use Taysom like that. Not whenever we try and like give him 1 or 2 touches. I think Taysom's better with more quantity. And I think you have to commit. You either have to commit to him as a backup quarterback, or you need to use him as the weapon that he is. You need to let him run the ball. You need to let him catch the ball, because I don't know if anybody's going to guard Taysom. And I personally would not want to try and tackle Taysom when he's running downfield. Yeah, this is going to be long, but there's a lot of props to give. Next, I'm going to go with the defense who held Tampa and Tom to under 200 yards. And it starts with Marshon Lattimore. I know it probably starts with the front 7 because they were pressure all night, but Marshon Lattimore, every single time he plays against Mike Evans, he locks him up, and it's bad. Like, it is bad. Mike Evans has not caught a pass against Marshon Lattimore in the last 3 games, and I'm pretty sure, I would have to go back and check, the game before that, he only caught 1. Now, going back to the front 7, David Onyemata, Cam Jordan, and Trey Henderson, and Marcus Davenport all played remarkable last night. They lived in Tampa's backfield as their offensive line had no answers for them, just like they haven't the year before, because they never addressed their offensive line weakness. But they're still a super team, so they're still going to beat us. But they lived in the backfield. They hit Tom Brady 9 times. Tracy Henderson had 2 sacks. Like, they were outstanding. David Onyemata caught one of the interceptions, like the defensive line, just because someone batted it from Tom Brady and just fell right into his lap. And they shut down the Bucs on everything. Like, they didn't even try to rush against the Saints. They only had 5 rushing attempts, which was the least rushing attempts in the NFL history in a single game. And that's credit to our guys. That's credit to Demario Davis. That's credit to Alex Anzalone. And guess what? Quan Alexander's coming. He watched that game from his couch. Like, this defense is only going to get better. The season's only going to get better, and I am so hyped. Overall, the Saints dominated the Bucs on every aspect of the game last night, and it was beautiful. I was just so overcome with joy, and I haven't felt that way watching the Saints play in a very long time. And I have to say, if they can put it together, if they're starting to roll, and this is like signs of what's to come, then sign me up, because I'm ready for Drew to get another ring. I'm ready for him to go off into the sunset happy and get his 2nd ring and retire and be a first ballot Hall of Famer and become an awesome broadcaster like we know he's going to do. And whenever he does that, he knows he's going to be leaving the Saints in good hands, because we are set up for the future. We have a great young core, and as a Saints fan, I'm just excited. I love this team so much. Hey, that just about does it for today's Lazy Couch Thoughts. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content just like this. And go ahead and drop a comment on what your favorite part of the Saints game was. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.